Difference between ambition and greed. Greed is wanting more. Ambition is wanting better, and not just better for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your country. There's no reason to watch CNBC if you're not ambitious, right? If you don't want better insights, better returns. And that's not just financial, though money is a part of it. We're talking about value.
CNBC. Live ambitiously.
Welcome back. Democrats have rallied behind Vice President Kamala Harris after President Biden's exit on Sunday. A majority of delegates have now endorsed Harris, and she has emerged as the clear frontrunner for the Democratic nomination. Like many Americans, NBC's Hallie Jackson is taking a closer look at who the vice president is and how her background and career as a prosecutor could shape her potential race to the White House.
Vice President Harris working the room, trying to capitalize on this critical moment.
To make sure that Kamala Harris wins.
For reaction and analysis, let's bring in Saiga Thomas now. He's CEO at NSAR Advisory Partners, live for us in Washington, D.C.
Well, it started really this evening. You know, she spoke at her campaign headquarters in Delaware. She had a phone call from President Biden, which gave certainly support, more support to not just Vice President Kamala Harris, but her whole entire team. So I think that was important in the coming weeks and months.
Saiga, great conversation. Really appreciate you taking the time today. Thanks for being here. Saiga Thomas of NSAR Advisory Partners with the latest on the race to the White House. Up next on the program, Israel's Prime Minister has touched down in Washington, D.C. ahead of his scheduled address to Congress on Wednesday. We'll discuss what he might say when Capital Connection returns. Stay with us. We're back in 2 minutes.
Crucial market coverage, actionable insights, can't miss reporting that'll impact the tape and your money now. Be here when the opening bell rings. Squawk on the street. CNBC.
The power plays are here, breaking down the markets with updates and deep dives. What's moving now and what's next for your money? Sarah Eisen, Carl Quintanilla, Money Movers. Weeknights, CNBC.
Advertising and marketing navigates AI.
It'll probably put mediocre agencies out of business.
The creator economy.
We are growing faster in 24 than we grew in 23.
People do not want to be sold. They want realism versus idealism.
And politics.
It's your brand and my politics, and those two worlds have come together.
From his perspective, freedom of speech is more important than just doing what advertisers tell him.
Marketing Media Money at Cannes Lions 2024.
Welcome back. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has landed in Washington ahead of his address to a joint session of Congress this week and a meeting with President Biden and the Middle East Institute, live for us in Jerusalem. Up next on the show, Korean Air giving Boeing a vote of confidence after ordering at least 40 new aircraft from the struggling manufacturer. We'll tell you all the details on the other side. And a quick check on Monday's equity trade across the Mideast. The Tata wall easing while Qatar finished higher as the Gulf's biggest lender, Qatar National Bank, moves on up. We're back in 2 minutes.
Real money, real debate, real-time moves. Scott Wapner and the Halftime Committee break down key trades. Get an edge on the market's next move. Halftime Report, live from the New York Stock Exchange. CNBC.
Welcome to Closing Bell. Let's get into the market right now.
Breaking news, market moves.
What it means for your money in the days ahead.
Scott Wapner from the NYSE. Closing Bell. CNBC.
Welcome back. Oil prices steadying in Asia trade after 2 sessions of declines. Taking a look at prices right now, and you can see
market close. Dan, it's back to you.
Sherry, terrific. Thanks for the update. We appreciate it. Okay, straight to the wall now for your European opening calls. Here's how major markets are set to open the trading day ahead. This comes after a mixed picture in Asia, but perhaps a better lead from Wall Street. You can see here markets expected to open higher, with London's FTSE actually down though around 13 points. That wraps up this edition of Capital Connection. Stay with us here on CNBC. Squawk Europe is up next.
The day's top stories driving Wall Street. Tyler Matheson, Kelly Evans, Power Lunch, CNBC.
Tiny homes.
Welcome to my tiny house in Atlanta, Georgia.
One woman makes big money with a very little house.
Pretty spacious, honestly.
Plus the Big Apple's version of living little.
My 95 square foot New York City apartment.
And downsizing to unlock a better life by the beach.
No regrets about moving into a tiny house. There's no room for excess or unnecessary objects.
That's all next on Unlocked.
We're moving from the autopilot era of AI to co-pilot era of AI.
We are just at the dawn of the robotics age.
The more experience you give it, the more capability this AI model can achieve.
Hopefully improves productivity, and it doesn't displace more jobs than it creates.
How to maintain our humanity if we live more and more digital lives.
The new era of tech on CNBC.
Ambition doesn't always look like you think it might look. I can remember reading The Economist on my lacrosse bus trips in college. I've just always been super fascinated by what's happening in financial markets and what is that telling us about where the world is going. I want to democratize access to that high-level information and help explain to every single person out there watching why what's happening in these complex markets matters for their lives today and in the future. That's what drives me. I love being part of this.
A very warm welcome to Squawk Box. These are your headlines. US Vice President Kamala Harris solidifies her standing as the frontrunner for the Democratic nomination, with a majority of pledged convention delegates backing her as she turns to focus on Donald Trump.
Predators who abused women. Fraudsters who ripped off consumers. Cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
US stocks, though, see their best day in 6 weeks as mega-cap tech regains some ground ahead of key earnings today.
CNBC learns that cloud security firm Wiz is walking away from Google's $23 billion takeover offer, saying it's focused instead on going public. And Cloud9, SAP cloud revenues rising 25% in the second quarter, bringing the German tech giant's backlog to 14.8 billion euros. We'll be breaking down the numbers with the CFO, Dominic Assam. That's later this hour.
And Porsche cutting its full-year sales outlook amid weaker Chinese demand and warns of impairment charges driven by supply shortages. A very good morning to you. We've been pouring through the markets trying to find some reaction, really, to the seismic political events that we've been seeing out of Washington. And quite frankly, I think it is a stretch, and I've read so much copy. It's a stretch, so to say, the market is moving here because of this. The market is doing this because actually the numbers that Trump has at the moment over Harris, formerly Biden, and we don't know that Harris is the candidate to face him yet, but we think that is going to be the case. They haven't changed very much at all. They may have narrowed slightly as well. So for those amazing journalists out there who are saying, or strategists who are saying,